dito si Francisco to help me explain things. You remember last Wednesday, today is Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Last Wednesday, we had our group huddle here. We have discussed about how to build connection into our prospects. Because our prospects, when you are given the appointment, your first few seconds of their first impression is very important. I do not believe first impression lasts, but I believe first impression counts. Diba? So guys, one of the common thing is how to build connection. And connection is related with communication. And communication, as you know, is 93% non-verbal. That's why when you present yourself, and guys, human nature, we're judgmental. Diba? I challenge you. Diba? Example si Jolo. Example lang, no? Example si Jolo is wearing sando and short pants. You're the client, Henry. There will be chance na hindi mo papansinin si Jolo. Right? Because of what he wears externally. Pero pag si Jolo naka long sleeve, you will let him sit down. Especially males. That's why I told Jasmine and Kendi and Chan, you have an advantage. You're female. You're good looking. Human nature, guys. Human nature. Female are more safe and more attractive. Diba? Because you cannot out-hustle us. So we feel safe if the female is the sales. Diba? That's really true. That's why in any promotion, female are supposed to wear something that are not desirable, correct? Because of how the world works. But what I'm just saying is, because this is how the world works, some of the things, like example, the non-verbal part of communication to build connection is very important for all of us to understand and be reminded of. Okay? So this is more or less quite long because si Francisco na lang ma-explain sa inyo, hindi ako. Because I am just nothing. Okay? So, take notes, guys. Guys, the video that I showed you is a master class that I have joined last year. It's a 27,000 peso master class, 3 full days. It's about leadership. So I just cut one video that is applicable to you. Now, I am hoping that we will have enough funds to bring most of you or even all of you to join that master class. But I need something in return. I need your commitment. That is extremely important. You will become a better person talaga. Okay? So please understand, everything I share to you is not coming from me. No one is born intelligent. Who we listen to determines this one, right? Okay. So this topic, guys, is the one that I'm talking to you about, that I have spoke to you about communication, how to understand cues, non-verbal cues if they're interested. Remember, I shared to you about this kind? Diba? So, a lot of body language he will also discuss. Emil, most of your clients, you're CSR, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're mostly talking to our clients on the phone.
Yes, sir.
So, because on the phone, you will be judged by voice.
Yes.
You still have to smile. Because I can still know whether you're smiling or not. You have to speak up, be more respectful. Why? It is only limited to your voice and to your tone of voice, choice of words, right? Because I cannot see you.
Yes.
For these two ladies, even if they don't know how to speak, if they look good, I'm okay, correct? Clients are okay. But if we're on the phone, and then you're just limited to the voice, it will be quite tricky, di ba? Okay. Guys, take down notes. Mahal ito. I'm just giving it for you for free. Okay? Take down notes.
Page 13. We're entering some very, very interesting components of communications which we normally would not be getting from other sources. Page 13 now says the element of personal communication. Do you have a a pie chart here that talks to us about ang laki-laki po ng shake nito ng percentage ng body language. And you'll be surprised with what I'm gonna show you because this will help us improve our communications. Tone of voice and the spoken words. Understand, communications is 93% non-verbal. If you look at my post today in FB, yan ang nilagay ko. Marami na nagko-comment dyan. Sabi nung isa, I so agree. I am from the call center po. I always get low points because of the tone of my voice. And so, we are going to take a look at the common body language mistakes. Ito yung non-verbal, ha? So, I have tried my best to get some visual pictures that you can see, some of which are not very accurate, but I hope that you can see certain things here. Learn to read and influence people through non-verbal communication because it's what you don't say that counts. And Abby is going to show you this photo. It's what you don't say that counts. Common body language mistakes. Don't let your unconscious signals send the wrong message. Number one, leaning back. Yung kausap mo, kaya pag ikaw gumagawa ng sales presentation at yung kausap mo ay nagli-lean back, ibig sabihin, hindi masyadong interested, nabo-bored, or thinking about something else. Don't lean back and stick your legs out in front of you, but sit up straight or lean in. Number two, body mistakes, body language mistake. Cross arms and or legs. This is a clear indicator of lack of interest or being defensive. I don't want what you're saying to penetrate me and make me vulnerable. You see what? Ito ang worse, yung naka-lean back na, naka-extend na yung legs, pagkatapos tilting away from you, at naka-cross ang arms, wala na nangyayari dyan, maniwala ka. At best, the guy is being polite. At worst, the guy is all consciously showing you that he or she is not interested. Number three, not making eye contact. As the Bible would say, the eyes are windows to the soul. If you don't look at the person in front of you in the eyes, he or she may unconsciously assume that you are being dishonest. Kaya yung kausap mo, di ka naman nakatingin sa mata. The only exception there is culture. The traditional Japanese, they don't like to look at you straight into the eye because they feel that it is disrespectful. They only look up to the level of the nose. But the younger Japanese executives now that I have been privileged to encounter with, they're a lot different now. Next, too much eye contact. Not looking someone in the eyes can make you seem dishonest, but looking them in the eyes for too long is a sign of aggression. To make people feel comfortable, hold their gaze for just a second or two at a time, but do not do that too often. And so, halata mo naman pagdali ka sa isang tao, nakadikit na ngayon yung mata mo dun sa taong yan. Next, again, I'm talking about the body language mistakes which we can avoid. Clasped palm. Nakahawak yung palm na yan. This is something people do when they feel stressed. You're literally holding your own hand. Don't do it if you don't want to project the lack of self-assurance. Next, hands behind the back or in the pocket. This is a natural position many of us take unconsciously, but it can be seen as a sign that we are hiding something. Kaya open arms are always a show of transparency. Next, while you are delivering a talk or you are speaking to your people, your hands are chopping, parang chopping board. Many people do this when they feel strongly about something or they want to emphasize a point, but it can be off-putting, almost as if you are chopping off your connection with the person you're speaking with. Next, look at the photo. He's a familiar person. He is Lance Armstrong. Touching face. Touching your face, especially your nose and mouth, is another one of those gestures that is unconsciously interpreted as a sign of deception, not speaking the truth, or if you're listening rather than speaking. No? So try to avoid that. Next, nodding too many times. Masyadong nagnanod ng head. Nodding is an essential part of communication, but lets other people know you understand or agree with what they're saying, but doing too many times may make you seem weak. It can also come across as a sign of indifference. Frankly, this is where I would love to see people improve more on. Which brings us to the next one. Ang kabaliktaran naman ito is fidgeting. People fidget when they're uncomfortable or bored. Yung hindi mapalagay. And by the way, I have actually met people when I'm speaking to them and they're polite. You know, the former place I went to buy me coffee. You know, Francis, I want to get advice from you, so I consider you as my mentor. Ang daming pasakali, ang daming preamble. So habang may tinatanong, nagsasalita naman ako, the eyes are shifty. The eyes just move from left to right, and others, and they look at Alan. I immediately stopped what I was doing. And I said, well, may nasabi naman ako, you just absorb them na lang muna. If you're ready, and then we can talk again. Immediately, my interpretation is, this person just wanted to be seen by other people moving around in that assembly that we are talking, and probably he will go out of his way to tell people at the time the one mentoring him, but the sincerity is not there. Shifty eyes. And I'm gonna talk to you about something that is a well-hidden secret among the Chinese community of business people. Meron kaming kasabihan na nagsasabing, pag malikot yung matang yan, mahirap ma-trusted yung person yan. Shifty eyes, always shifting. That means the mind is continuously thinking and working and doing something else. Fidgeting is also a sign of not being comfortable and being nervous. Next is hunching shoulders. When the shoulder is slumped or hunched, this is seen as a sign of unhappiness or often to project confidence. Stand up straight. Watch the TED Talk of Ami Funny as he speaks about before you face your client, before you do town hall, before you face your team, build up the confidence by making power poses. In other words, whenever a person is confident, that person expands. When a person feels the lack of confidence, that person shrinks. Even in the way he or she sits and so forth and so on. Which brings us to the 12, wrapping a feet under a chair or constantly tapping. This gesture signals that you're uncomfortable and you need to comfort yourself. Why is there a need specifically for me to understand all of this? I'm a speaker. I face the audience all the time. Now I'm limited by screen. Pero yung on-ground na yan, dating ginagawa ko, sinisilip ko, ako, these guys are getting bored with this portion of the program. I can see that person beginning to build aggression. I can see this person hungry to learn more. You need to understand all this non-verbal communication. Next, making yourself too small. Ito na, freaking out a little bit. nako-contract na yung taong yan, which is the opposite of expansion. Amically, now I got the name right. Amycuddy. Take a look in her TED Talk YouTube, and you'll be amazed at her study about how human gestures interpret what they really think about. So when a person is confident, he or she expands. Parang itong litratong ito ng isang Olympic champion, si Bolt. No? Abby, you can show the next picture na. When the person is confident, he or she expands. Ito mo, expand yun, di ba? Now, when the person, pero you have to balance this kasi another negative body language is overly big gestures. Your body language should be expansive to project confidence. But don't make the mistake of what this next photo will show you, making great big gestures, because this is the guy who's familiar with the wrestling thing, diba? Professional wrestling. Next, ito ang tindi nito, grabe, super effective. Sabi ng mga psychologists, the part of the body that is farthest away from the brains, that is so hard to control, are the feet. Malalaman ko na agad yung kausap ko, interested ba sa akin o nagmamadaling umalis, because the feet will unconsciously point towards the direction they want to go. So pagka nagmamadali na umuwi yung tao at kinakausap mo, makikita mo yung katawan kaharap sa'yo, pero yung paa nandun sa direksyon ng pintuan. Yan. And then glancing at a watch or a phone. While you're talking to your people, don't make it a habit of looking at your phone, glancing at your watch or whatever, because this simply means that you are not interested, you're in a hurry, yung kausap mo, storbo sa ginagawa mo. And the next one is failing to mirror. Mirroring is what happens now when someone is totally interested in you. Kaya, mirroring. So, makikita mo nagmi-mirror yung dalawa. Yung isa exaggerated lang. Next is invading someone's personal space. Kung gusto mong magalit yung isang tao, you try to invade into the privacy and the very space of that person. Yun. So, we all have different ideas, but then don't forget culture. I was invited to speak in Brunei, and I'll never forget what I have learned. As a speaker on ground, madalas ako in trying to make a point, I will do this and I will do this. Hindi pala po pwede sa certain countries. Because this finger represents the male genital part. Kaya pag naggumaganong ka sa crowd nila, para kang nagmi-middle finger. I had to learn it the hard way. If you want to make a point, you use your thumb like this, or like this, or like this. How could I have changed fast? I made a mistake. So I had to apologize, and I have to change. Culture also plays a big part. Now, for your more appreciation of this this subject matter, I'd like to recommend an old book, but still very powerful. And this is the book that carries the title Body Language by Pearson. By Peace pala, P-E-A-S-E. And then from here on, he expanded into many other books, but essentially this one carries the bulk of what we're talking about. Page 15, very quickly, because ayoko na naman i-abuso yung pag-overtime nyo with only 12 minutes to go. So, 6 strategies for effective communications. Number 1, learn to read your audience. Number 2, resist the urge to drive your point at all costs. Minsan po, yun yung nakikita ko eh. Gusto ko sana I love mentoring young speakers, and I have done so. Yung young speaker na na-mentor ko, tumanda na siya eh. Si Chinky Tan, matanda na yan eh. So I love mentoring young speakers. Minsan pag nakikita ko, gusto ko na pumunta sa States at hawakan siya at sabihin ko, tama na, okay na yung point mo, huwag mo na dagdagan, huwag mong sobrahan pa. And so, read your audience, resist the urge to drive your point at all costs. Reading the audience is important. For example, kabra-brown out lang. Wala. Pagbukas, iba yung mood ng tao. For example, yung audience, habang nagsasalita ka, nadapa yung waiter, nahulog yung lahat ng dala niya, madalas na mangyari yan, you have to read the audience, you cannot just pretend nothing is happening, but you have to take advantage of that situation. May nakita ko akong Dr. Jose, I'd like to share with you a story. May nakita akong isang in a medical meet, yung doktor po mag-represent. Eh nung nag-represent po siya, ayaw mag-match yung LED tsaka yung kanyang thumb drive. And so, ang nangyari po, nagagalit ngayon yung doktor. Kitang-kita ngayon ng tao. So, in front of everyone, because ang feeling ko, siguro uneasy na yung doktor na yan. At ang feeling niya napapahiya, he was venting his galit dun sa technician. And that's not a good thing. Nung nag-umpisa na siya, makikita mo yung mood ng entire audience is no longer there. And he pretended as if everything was normal. He failed to study and read the audience, which is not a very good thing to do. Next is to connect emotionally. Maya Angelou said it best. People will forget what you have said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. It's the same thing with parenting, it's the same thing with dealing with our teams. And then, prepare your material. It doesn't mean, I'm so poor with memory. Kaya bumaksak ako sa aking mga Chinese classes nung araw. But I love comprehension. You don't need to memorize your material, but at first you need to understand. And then master your material so you can present it. And then people will see the confidence in the way you're doing it. Next, skip the jargon. Tanggalin na yung mga cliche na yan, yung mga motherhood statement. Ay, galit na galit ngayon yung mga younger millennials at mga Gen Z. Ayaw nila yung mga ganyan. Skip the jargon and then practice active listening. Active listening simply means you spend more effort in trying to understand what they are saying more than your consciousness of what you're gonna say. At ito po ang mga importante, habang nagsasalita po yung tao, huwag kang masyadong absorbed with wanting to barge into it and then interrupt it and then present your counter-argument, because that means there's no active communication happening. Now, as we continue, because I would love to spend more time now, even before we end, on the last point, which will radically improve your relationship, not only with your people, but more so with your loved ones. Let's take a look at confidence and communication. These are the things that confident people usually say. Confidence is described as the quiet belief in getting things done or achieving goals without the hubris brought about by arrogance. Kaya nung pinapanood ko yung House of Cards, ang dami kong natututunan. Sabi ko, itong communication na to, this is born out of arrogance and everything else. Now, here are the 7 phrases of confidence. 1, we'll find a way to deal with it. When people go to the leader with a list of what if, sir, paano naman to? We're gonna find a way to deal with it. And so, number 2, let's go for it. Not anxiety, but optimism. Sige, gawin natin. Confident leaders, truly confident leaders expect good things to happen. Next, number 3, doing it this way works for me. In other words, instead of waiting around for the next opportunity, but you value the contribution of your people and say, oh, yeah, it works for me. Yeah, that's good. It works for me. 4, why not me? Meaning to say, instead of waiting around for the next opportunity or somebody else to do it for you, and then you just say, well, bakit hindi natin gawin? Sige, involve mo ako dyan. Sama mo ako dyan. Next, I need to say something. Confident people will take a stand regarding matters of right or wrong. Hindi lang yung pinag-aralan natin. You're not a politician mindset, but if you feel that it's wrong, you're gonna speak out. And you say, let me say something about this. Number 6, tell me more. This is so super effective. When you did the relationship questions, and you will say, oh, really? Oh, tell me more. That's interesting. You know what you're doing? You're practicing active listening. And number 7, again, we go back to that series. Can you help me? Or how can I help? These are the phrases of confident communicators. Just my thoughts now. I have met people who would act and behave arrogantly, thinking that they're projecting confidence, but using it as a disguise for their deep-seated insecurity. That's not a good thing. And I have met leaders whose presence in the room radiates power and influence, but they're trying their best to squeeze down their knowledge and think they're interested in giving an opportunity for others. They exude humility. So, confidence is not arrogance. And I want to share with you one of the most important people I have met as I observe and absorb. Grabe, ibang klase ang confidence and humility nito. It is not impossible to combine the two. As a matter of fact, it should be the result of that. And true confidence in the person leads to humility. When the senior pastor of Union Church of Manila came, I had the opportunity to be invited to him, to spend dinner together with some friends to get to know him. And we asked questions and so forth and so on. And I know his background is super loaded. You know, graduate ng Moody Bible Institute, a theologian at heart, and the guy's got PhD, the wife has too. You'll never hear it from him. He keeps on asking questions, and he keeps on saying, you know, I really need your help, Francis. I'm new here in town, I don't know, so any contribution. And then finally I stood up, and I don't know if he still remembers this, but jokingly I said, you're okay, Pastor. I think you're gonna do very well. And he says, why did you say that? I said, because Chad, you're the only pastor I have met in my entire life who would admit to not knowing things and asking help. Most of those I have met, they know everything. And they make it a point to let you know they know. But deep inside us, we know they don't. True confidence is wrapped up with humility. And you can never be confident until you have competence. Same thing that works for a leader of a church, same thing that works for a leader for industry and also for business.
Guys, okay now? You're sleeping. Let's have a break. Pero before the